A custody order can take a child without touching a doorknob. Kansas City, early March. Cold rain that sticks to your jacket like a warning. And the whole thing hinged on one certified delivery, signed at an apartment that hadn't been lived in for months. My name's Frank Hale. I work while the city sleeps. No rumors, just records, receipts, barcodes, signatures, timestamps. I don't do drama. I do verification. Most people think certified mail is just important mail. But certified isn't about importance, it's about proof. Proof becomes leverage the moment it lands in a court file. And on the morning this started, the record said, served. But my gut said, wrong. It was Tuesday, March 4th, 3:12 a.m. Sorting floor. Fluorescent lights. The kind of quiet that's never actually quiet, because machines hum like they're thinking. I run my route the same way every day. Scan, stack, verify, repeat. You learn patterns when you do something long enough. You learn what normal looks like, and then you learn what doesn't. In my tray, I had a certified envelope that didn't match the rest. Family court return address, thick paper, windowed front, and one extra line that caught my eye because it changes the rules. Restricted delivery. That means addressee only, not adult at the address, not someone who says they're them. The name on the envelope becomes a lock. Addressee, Janelle Price. Address, 2117 Rookwood Avenue, Unit 3. I read it twice, because sometimes your brain tries to smooth over a detail that matters. I knew Rookwood. It's not the nice side. It's not the worst side. It's the side where buildings get sold, renovated halfway, then forgotten. Mailboxes taped, buzzers broken, unit numbers that lie. I scanned the barcode into my handheld. My device doesn't care about my opinions. It cares about procedure. And procedure said, deliver it clean, get the right signature, log it properly. Because that log is what the court will believe. By 5:41 a.m., I was on the route. Pre-dawn streets, wet pavement, a sky the color of steel filings. I pulled up to 2117 Rookwood at 5:58. Three-story walk-up, faded entry buzzer panel, and the first warning sign wasn't subtle. The Unit 3 mailbox had tape across it. Not fresh tape, old tape, yellowed at the edges. That's not decoration, that's a message. Nobody's home here. I stood there long enough to do the math in my head. Restricted delivery requires the named person, but the named person wasn't living there. I still tried the door. Knock, wait, knock again. Nothing. So I did what the job requires when the world doesn't cooperate. I left a notice, scanned, attempted, and kept moving. You don't stop the route for a feeling, but the feeling followed me anyway. Because this wasn't a bank letter. This wasn't an insurance renewal. This was family court, restricted certified. A letter like that doesn't arrive unless something is already in motion. Around 11:27 a.m., I was 2 streets over when my route phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered like I always do. Frank? A woman spoke like she was holding her voice together with both hands. Hi, are you the postal carrier for Rookwood Avenue? I cover it, I said. My name is Janelle Price, she said, and I need to ask you something. Did you deliver certified mail to 2117 Rookwood today?" I stopped walking, because the name on that envelope wasn't common, and because nobody calls about certified mail unless it already hurt. "I attempted delivery," I said. "Restricted. Notice left." Her breath shuddered once, controlled. Okay, that makes sense." Then she said the sentence that turned the rain into ice. "I'm being told the court says I was served last week." I didn't respond with emotion. Emotion wastes time. "What are they saying was served?" I asked. "A petition," she said. "Emergency custody. Temporary order. I didn't know there was a hearing." Emergency custody. Temporary order. Those are the words people use when they want something done fast, before the other side can build a file. Janelle kept talking, fast, like she was trying to outrun the facts. "My ex's mom picked up my son from after school and said she had paperwork. The school called me because my son was crying. They said there was an order on file." I stared at the wet sidewalk like it might provide a shortcut. "What's your son's name?" I asked. "Malik," she said. "He's 8. I didn't ask why an ex's mother had access. I didn't ask about family history. Not yet. "Where do you live, Janelle?" I said. She gave me an address. Not Rookwood, a different part of town. A place with a real keypad and a leasing office. "I moved months ago," she said, like she needed me to believe it. "I changed everything. I work nights. I'm a nurse. Her voice cracked, and she forced it back into shape. "They've always said I'm unstable," she said. "They say it in front of people, like it's a joke." That's when I heard the other story underneath the paperwork. Public humiliation. Not online, not vague. The kind that happens in hallways and pickup lines, where witnesses make it feel official. Janelle didn't say, "my family," but she didn't have to. "When was the last time you were at that Rookwood address?" I asked. "September," she said. "I kept it on my ID for a while because DMV appointments take forever, but I don't live there." I looked at my scanner in my hand, a device built to turn moments into records. "Janelle," I said, "I can't tell you what the court should do." She didn't ask me to. "But I can tell you what the record says," I continued, "and I can print my side of it." There was a pause on the line, then quieter. "Can you?" "I don't guess," I told her. "I verify." We met at the main post office after my route, 1:18 p.m. Janelle showed up with a folder, like she'd been carrying it her whole life. She was 30-something, tired in a way sleep doesn't fix, hair pulled back tight. Tired, no jewelry except a cheap watch. The kind of person who knows what a timestamp means because she lives by clocks. "I'm not trying to be dramatic," she said before I even spoke. "My ex's mum she's polished. She knows how to sound right." "Courts like right," I said. "They like clean paperwork." Janelle's mouth tightened. "That's her specialty." I printed what I could from USPS tracking. Attempted delivery record, date, time, location scan, restricted delivery status, notice left. It wasn't the court's proof of service, but it was my proof of what happened on my route. Then Janelle showed me her phone. A screenshot from the school's admin email. Temporary order received. Authorized pickup listed, Darlene Klein. Klein. Not Price. Different last name. different side of the family. Janelle swallowed. That's his grandma. So here it was, a child in the middle, a grandmother with paper, and a mother with no notice. That's when Janelle told me the part that made the mandatory drama of the world feel painfully predictable. Back in October, she'd gone to a family birthday party for her son at a community center. She'd paid for the pizza, she'd brought the cake, and in front of other parents, Darlene Klein had smiled and said, "Janelle's doing her best. She just can't keep anything together for long." Polite tone, public knife. Then Darlene's son, Tyler, had laughed like it was harmless, and Janelle's own mother, standing right there, didn't defend her, just shrugged like the humiliation was deserved. That's how it starts. They don't call you a failure once. They make it your identity, so the paperwork later feels believable. Hidden truth doesn't arrive as a villain speech. It arrives as consistency, as pattern. Janelle said she'd found out last month that Tyler's child support was being garnished. Not because he volunteered it, because she saw the notice in a family court portal when she was trying to update her address. And after that, Darlene went quiet. No texts. And after that, no "How's Malik?" Just silence. Now the silence had turned into an emergency petition. Janelle looked at me. What do I do? I kept my voice flat. Not because I didn't care, because panic doesn't create evidence. You build a file, I said, right now, like it's your job. She nodded once. That was her reaction. No confrontation, no screaming voicemail, no doorstep scene, just an internal decision. Facts first. We drove to family court together. 3:06 p.m. I didn't go in as a hero. I went in as a witness to records. Inside, the air smelled like copier toner and stale coffee. Janelle told the clerk her name. Then she told the clerk something that matters more than emotion in any system. I need the proof of service. The clerk, young woman, neat bun, tired eyes, pulled up the case. Her face didn't change. Clerks don't get paid to react. She printed 2 pages and slid them across like they were hot. Proof of service. Method, certified mail. Restricted delivery. Address served, 2117 Rookwood Avenue, Unit 3. Status, delivered. Signature captured. Date, February 26th. Time, 6:02 a.m. Janelle's jaw flexed. That's not possible, she said. I wasn't there. The clerk pointed, not unkindly, just mechanically. Signature is on file, she said. That's what the judge relies on. The clerk wasn't wrong. Courts worship a clean line that says, delivered. Then Janelle turned the page and froze. There was a scanned image of the signature, and next to it, typed into the notes field, ID checked, DL ending 9924. Janelle whispered, my license ends in 4417. There it was, the anomaly. Not a feeling, not a guess, a mismatch inside the record. I leaned closer, careful not to touch her papers, and I asked the clerk the only question that matters when your life is being rewritten. Who requested service at that address? The clerk scrolled. Plaintiff, she said. Darlene Klein. Janelle didn't react outwardly, but her hands tightened on her folder so hard Her knuckles went pale, but her hands... Long journey doesn't always mean years. Sometimes it means the last 8 years of being told you're irresponsible and still showing up to work, still paying rent, still making lunches. Janelle had receipts, pay stubs, school attendance, a lease in her current apartment, a screenshot of her change of address request pending with the court portal. Not perfect, but real. Darlene had a clean signature and a story, and the system prefers clean. Unless you make real undeniable. The hearing was the next morning, 9 a.m., emergency docket, fast-moving. People packed into benches like they were waiting for their names to be called at an airport. Janelle sat straight-backed. No tears, no speeches, just a stack of documents clipped into sections. Darlene Klein walked in like a realtor. Pressed coat, pearl earrings, that smile that says she's practiced being believed. Behind her was Tyler Klein, mid-30s, athletic jacket, eyes avoiding Janelle like avoidance was a moral position. He didn't look like a monster. He looked like a man who lets other people do his dirty work. And that's common. When the judge took the bench, the room shifted. Judge Asha Dyer, calm face, sharp eyes, no interest in theatrics. She read silently for longer than most people can handle. That silence was my favorite sound in a courthouse. Then she looked up. "Ms. Price," she said, "you're requesting the temporary order be set aside due to improper service." "Yes, Your Honor," Janelle said. "And you're stating you were not served at the address listed?" "Yes." Judge Dyer looked at Darlene. "Ms. Klein," she said, "you're the petitioner." Darlene stood. "My grandson is not safe," she began, voice smooth. "His mother moves, she..." Judge Dyer lifted a hand. "We're not doing character summaries," she said, calm, deadly. "We're doing facts." Darlene's smile tightened. Judge Dyer tapped the proof of service page. "This service was restricted delivery," she said. "This addressee only." "Yes, Your Honor," Darlene said quickly. "And it was signed." Judge Dyer's eyes moved to the notes line. "ID checked," the judge said. "DL ending 9924. Janelle spoke without shaking. "Your Honor, my driver's license ends 4417. I can show the court." Judge Dyer didn't look surprised. She looked interested. "Who signed this?" the judge asked. Darlene's voice stayed steady. "Janelle did." Janelle didn't argue. She didn't say, "That's a lie," in a loud way. She did what wins in official places. She slid 2 items forward. Her actual ID, visible last 4 digits, a lease agreement for her current address dated October, months before the alleged service. Truth through facts. Judge Dyer examined them, then looked toward the back. "And who is Mr. Hale?" she asked. I stood. "Frank Hale," I said. "USPS. I'm the carrier for that route." I didn't puff up. A mailman doesn't become important because he walked into court. He becomes important because his device made a record. Judge Dyer's tone stayed procedural. "Mr. Hale," she said, "for restricted delivery certified mail, what is your procedure?" "Verify identity," I said. "Confirm the addressee. Obtain signature." "Do you record ID numbers?" she asked. "Sometimes carriers note last 4 in the device notes field when there's a dispute risk," I said, "especially when it's court mail." Judge Dyer looked at Darlene again. "Ms. Klein," she said, "how did you know to send service to Unit 3 at that address?" Darlene's posture didn't change, but her eyes flicked, quick, like a cursor moving off a button it shouldn't have hovered over. "That's the address on her records," she said. Janelle answered calmly. "It was an old address on my ID," she said. "I didn't live there. I work nights. I was at the hospital on February 26th at 6:02 a.m. Judge Dyer's pen paused. "Do you have proof?" she asked. Janelle slid forward a printed time card and a badge swipe report. Not dramatic, not emotional, just a timestamp with a location. Not dramatic. The judge looked at it, then back to the proof of service again. For a moment, the room felt like it was balancing on a single line of ink. Then, Judge Dyer spoke. "This temporary order was granted based on service that is now in serious question," she said. "Restricted delivery implies the named addressee personally received notice. The ID notation does not match Ms. Price's ID. The address appears not to be her residence at the time." She looked directly at Darlene. "This court will not remove a child on a questionable record," she said. Darlene opened her mouth. Judge Dyer held up a hand again. Not louder, just final. "I'm setting aside the temporary order," she said. "I'm ordering proper service at the respondent's current address. And I'm referring the service discrepancy for review." The phrase, "for review," is what courts say when they don't want to say fraud out loud yet. Janelle exhaled once. Not relief, air. Because she wasn't celebrating. She was stopping the bleeding. Resolution. Stamp/order/decision. In the hallway afterward, Darlene tried to speak like nothing happened. "This is from Malik," she said, voice sweet. Janelle didn't answer. She did what people call cold when they don't understand boundaries. She walked past. She held her folder. She kept her face neutral. No revenge, just a line drawn where a line should have been drawn years ago. Later that week, Janelle filed what she needed to file. She updated her address everywhere. She requested copies of everything. She set her mail to require ID on anything legal. She turned on informed delivery. She treated her life like a system that needed security patches. And the long journey, her real one, didn't end in court. It continued in the unglamorous places that actually change outcomes. Night shifts, homework at the kitchen table, bills paid on time, a savings account that grew in tens, not thousands. A new certification course she took on her days off because she decided her son would never hear unstable and think it was true. A month later, Malik's school records listed one authorized pickup name, his mother, and every change had to be submitted in person with ID. That's what success looks like in paperwork noir. Not applause, control of the record. I went back to my route the next morning. Same wet streets, same gray sky, same scanner in my hand. And I kept thinking about that proof of service page. People talk about betrayal like it's an emotion, like it's yelling or tears or slammed doors. Sometimes betrayal is procedural. Sometimes it's a signature line that says you were served when you were nowhere near the door. I don't guess, I verify. So here's my question for you. If a family member used paperwork to take your child, would you confront them first? Or would you do what Janelle did and let the record speak? Tell me in the comments, And if you want more stories where silence wins because proof is louder, subscribe.